Good evening, everyone. It is great to look out in this crowd to see all the students and parents here with us this evening, and also a welcome the district office staff and principals that are with us this evening. As you already probably know, I want to do a little sales pitch. We have a big event going on in Georgetown County today and tomorrow, Palmetto Giving Day. If you're not familiar with Palmetto Giving Day, please go home and Google it. We are, this county, over 85 nonprofits is set out to raise almost $4 million by 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And many of these nonprofits affect our kids in our schools. So if you get a chance, go to Palmetto Giving Day and look at the nonprofits and make a donation. But as we begin this evening, we have a very special guest this evening, Mr. Lavelle Green Desashore, sorry about that, who is going to come and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and our moment of silence. And Ms. Ward, his principal, is going to do an introduction.
Good evening, Chairman Gaskins, Superintendent Price, board members, and district staff and guests. Nothing brings me greater joy than to get to brag on one of my Panthers. This evening, I am excited to have Mr. Lavelle Green Desashore with me. He is a 5th grade student at Sampit Elementary School. Lavelle has been at Sampit Elementary School since beginning pre-K. He is a natural leader and exemplifies all the qualities of a Panther. Lavelle has served as a Panther ambassador for the last 2 years. Lavelle's favorite subject is math. He recently played football with the Georgetown County Parks and Recreation. He attends Singleton Chapel AME Church, where he enjoys reading scriptures during church. He also enjoys talking with his granddaddy and playing Xbox with his friends. Lavelle's love of learning is evident both in and out of the classroom. He participated in the last 2 musicals directed by Miss Nairn. He was Sam in Rudolph Jr., and he played Rafiki in The Lion King Kids. He recently participated in the Georgetown County School District Tech Fair, too. Lavelle's teacher shared that he is an exceptional student. He embodies responsibility, obedience, and respect toward his peers and adults alike. His unwavering attention in class and his intrinsic motivation to learn are commendable. Lavelle's relentless efforts and determination to achieve his goals are truly inspiring. His positive attitude and warm smile are a daily reminder of his joyous presence in our class and our school. Lavelle is an outstanding student, and he exemplifies all that a Panther should be. It has been an honor getting to know him and work with him and watch him grow. I know that he will continue to work hard and achieve his goals moving forward. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Lavelle Green Desashore.
Good evening. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you very much, Lavelle. Next thing on our agenda, I'm going to call Dr. Bethany Giles for the Turnaround Achievement Awards. It was so exciting to be able to attend the reception for these kids, students, and parents, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Giles.
Thank you, Chairman Gaskins, members of the board, Mr. Price, district administration, and our extended Georgetown County School District family. Again, we say good evening. We're here to recognize our first Georgetown County School District Turnaround Achievement Award recipients. The award highlights the effort and determination these students have put forth to literally turn it around for themselves, and they are now on track for their chosen pathway to success. In planning and preparing for the criteria for this award, certain essential as well as exceptional characteristics came to mind. Perseverance, dedication, resiliency, and growth. As we continued with the process, several mentors and educators came to mind. However, one person's legacy stood out as this seemed to embody much of the principles that surrounded her work. For this reason, this award is dedicated to the legacy and work of retired Georgetown County School District Deputy Superintendent, the late Dr. Celeste Pringle. Dr. Pringle truly believed that every student could turn it around. In her mind, no setback was too great. In her own unique way, as many of us can attest to, she took her position very seriously and was always willing to work unceasingly for what she believed to be the ultimate welfare of the children of this district. At some point in our lives, we all encounter challenges and difficult circumstances, but it's our ability to bounce back from adversity that shows the true merit of our character. These students are here today as the award recipients for their school because they have demonstrated remarkable perseverance, dedication, and significant improvement in their academic journey. At this time, we ask that the students come forward and we will recognize them each by their school. Andrews Elementary, Bryson Cole Morris. Browns Ferry Elementary School for the Creative and Performing Arts, Madison Trappier. Kensington Elementary School, Dante Jacory Pitts. Maryville Elementary School, Preston Brown. McDonald Elementary School, Jaden Bernardin. Plantersville Elementary Digital Immersion School, Nevaeh Melendez. Pleasant Hill Elementary Stream Academy, Brayson Altman. Sampit Elementary School, Austin Tucker. Waccamaw Elementary School, Harrison Thomas Rolfe. Carvers Bay Middle STEAM Academy, Jamari Sumter. Coastal Montessori Charter School, Franklin Gibson. Georgetown Middle School, Janice Wilson. Rosemary Middle School, Javarius Diari White. Waccamaw Intermediate School, Jonathan Nesbitt. Waccamaw Middle School, Lily Coleman. Andrews High School, Brooklyn Nicole Altman. Carvers Bay Early College and Career High School, Zanaya Jawar Chandler. Georgetown High School, Michael James Law, and Walkmore High School, Kevin Brian Alston. Let's give all our students a hand. Again, congratulations to these students, and thank you, board members.
Next on our agenda, we have a special recognition from Black River United Way by Miss Yolanda McCray.
Good evening. To the established protocol, I am Yolanda McCray, President and CEO of Black River United Way, serving Georgetown and Williamsburg counties. I have with me my Director of Education, Ms. Tondalisa Sumter. It gives me great pleasure to be here tonight to present a special award to a very special person. Black River United Way, as you all know, has serviced and partnered with the Georgetown County School District with our AmeriCorps program, which is an in-school tutoring program, since 2016, beginning with Ms. Patty Hamill. We are so honored that we are in our 9th year of service to Georgetown County School and servicing our students. Tonight, I have the esteemed pleasure to recognize one of your school board members, Miss Sandra Johnson. Sandra Johnson has served as an AmeriCorps member for the 23-24 school year term. In that, she has served at Maryville Elementary School and Andrews Elementary School, tutoring 59 students. Here's what Andrews Elementary School has to say about your service. Ms. Sandra Johnson has been serving students at Andrews Elementary School in grades kindergarten through 2nd since August of 2023. She is passionate about working with the students and has created positive relationships with them. She shows up daily for her students and strives to promote their growth in literacy with meaningful activities. Kate Owens, instructional coach at Andrews Elementary School. Maryville Elementary School. Words cannot fully express our gratitude for Ms. Sandra Johnson's extraordinary commitment and dedication as a Black River United Way volunteer at Maryville Elementary School. Her unwavering kindness, passion, and tireless efforts have made a profound impact on the lives of countless students. From the moment she stepped into the classrooms, she's exuded a warm and welcoming presence that immediately put our students at ease. Her patience, understanding, and genuine love for children created a safe and nurturing environment where they could learn and grow. We have witnessed firsthand the transformative power of Ms. Johnson's work. Students who once struggled with reading now eagerly pick up books and immerse themselves in the world of stories. Their faces light up with excitement as they discover the joy of reading, and their confidence soars with each new accomplishment. Ms. Johnson volunteered countless hours at our school, spending time one-on-one with students who needed extra support. She worked tirelessly to ensure that every child had the opportunity to succeed, and she never hesitated to go the extra mile. Submitted by Ms. D. Marshall, curriculum coach at Maryville Elementary School. At this time, Ms. Sandra, will you please join me and Tondalisa?
Sandra, thank you so much for all that you do. I want to read the plaque, please, if I may. It just simply reads, AmeriCorps, Black River United Way, Miss Sandra Johnson, thank you for your dedication. Thank you for all you do. Yes.
We are honored to have such a wonderful person as Miss Sandra, and she's already been requested next year for Maryville Elementary School. So we hope that she decides to do a second term with the AmeriCorps program. Thank you to the Georgetown County School District and to the wonderful superintendent, Mr. Price. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to serve your students. Thank you.
Ms. McCray,
Yes, sir.
we too are honored to have Ms. Johnson on our board. We are very thankful for her and all the work that she does. She's our longest-serving board member. How many years, Ms. Johnson? 10?
Since
16?
2008.
Huh?
2008.
2008.
Is that
Wow.
60?
Yeah, we're very thankful for her, and we're very thankful for what your organization does for our students. Thank you so much.
Thank you
both
very
of you.
much.
Thank you so much.
We invite everyone to stay for our board meeting, but if you need to make an exit, this is the time to go, but we would love for you to stay. Thank you. Our next thing on the agenda is public comments. Comments or requests should be brief and to the point as possible and shall not exceed 3 minutes, and must not mention specific names or positions of students or personnel. If a member of the public has specific concerns regarding students or personnel, those should be brought to the appropriate supervisory personnel or board members privately. Further, persons commenting and members of the audience must remain civil and respectful at all times. Anyone violating these guidelines may be asked to leave the meeting. So we have one person for public comments, Mr. Gibson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You have a tough job ahead of you in picking an intern superintendent and a new superintendent, and I wish this superintendent all the luck and I guess gratitude that you've done for this district in your new endeavor. However, we shouldn't have to look far for an intern superintendent when we have one right here, his assistant, who has been doing his job when he was gone. She is a great educator. She's put in time here. She knows this district. She knows the policies and the programs that you all have set forth in the future. And I think she should have the opportunity to perform as intern superintendent so that she can show you what she got. She already showed you, but she can really show you what she has to offer. And then if she wants to run for superintendent, then she could put her name in the hat. Second, when choosing a new superintendent, please set the bar high. Set it real high. You know, instead, you know, applications, we can use trick words or words where something can slip by. Instead of using the word preferred when considering a doctorate, use prerequisite, as you must have this in order to even apply. That'll give you a higher bar for people to apply, less people, more qualified people. And second, minorities and women need to be seriously considered when picking a new superintendent. Not just bring them in, give them an interview, check the background, check and see what they've done for other districts or how they can help this district. And third, please make sure the new superintendent is committed to Georgetown County School District, that they will take us to higher heights. The students deserve it, and Georgetown County School District deserve it. Please, don't hire a person because they're a man, they're a woman, they're black, they're white, they're Hispanic, whatever. Hire them for what they have proven that they can do already and what they'll do for Georgetown County School District in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. I appreciate your comments. Moving on with our meeting, we have the approval of the minutes. Each of you have received the minutes and have had time to review them. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Now we have the adoption of the agenda. Y'all have all received the agenda. It's been put out to the press. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved and it's been second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The agenda is approved. First up, Ms. Johnson, 2024-2025 budget presentation. I know Ms. Johnson's team and the cabinet has been working hard on this, and we appreciate all that you guys have done on this. Thank you.
And we're still working on it.
I'm sure you are.
We are crunching numbers constantly.
Do we have a clue when the budget will be passed? Any updates when the state level?
We got figures at 3 o'clock this afternoon and then got an updated figure at 3:30.
Oh, okay. Oh, well. Oh,
That's
well.
kind of,
Okay.
that's where we are. But we are, I think we got the Senate version, so it just depends in the next week who decides and what they decide. So we will be changing this, bottom line. But Chairman Gaskins, board members, Mr. Price, we are presenting the first draft tonight of the general fund budget for 24-25 with the information we had at the moment when we were looking and trying to prep this. And just as I said, we're going to be changing this before we come back May 21st with some hopefully more accurate projections and some better estimates of funding. So we'll be coming back to you with that. But if you'll go to page 2 in your packet, that is your list of priorities that you discussed with Mr. Price when you had your December retreat. Are you going to? Yeah, thanks. It won't work?
Technical difficulty.
So again, these are your board priorities, and 1A and 1B were a tie, so most of what you will see in tonight's presentation directly addresses 1A and 1B, and many of the others as well. So if you'll go to page 3, the figures that we have tonight for you for revenue, the almost 4.2 million, is based on the Senate 45-day projections. The numbers we got today are based on the 135-day. We do have less students, less weighted pupil units on the 135-day. So we are probably going to have a little bit less money unless they go with a different version of the funding. So, but we'll come back with that and make all that work. Just something to think about, and we just pulled a number and said, based on today, give you something to think about. If you were to budget $2 million of our fund balance to include with the revenue, that would give you right at $6.2 million in new money, additional money.
Ms. Johnson, could you clarify for me? I'm sorry. The first line, the $4,153,000, is that what we expect to receive in taxes and so forth?
Additional, new. Yes,
New
sir.
is-
In property tax, we get an additional property tax relief payment for Tier 3, and they tell us what that is. That is what it is every year. We also have included about $900,000 additional tax dollars for growth. And it also includes the state aid to classrooms figure that we had previous to tonight.
So that's above and beyond the base of what we had last year? So
Yes,
this
sir.
is additional money we have coming in?
Yes, sir.
And then the balanced budget and fund, what is that $2 million? Are we drawing that from something?
You would, if you chose to do so, I mean, and it would be a board decision, that would just, because we do have some fund balance, you could for one time, and you have already approved a couple of items that were thought that if you couldn't get them in the budget this year, you would use fund balance to pay for those. So we just pulled the $2 million in to cover those items and use that along with the new money to help balance the budget. But it would
Okay.
be a one-time fix. It would need to be built into the 25-26 budget.
And if that $2 million is pulled in, how much is left to draw from?
We would have 21 million with the things that you've already taken out, the capital projects and the bonus and including the 2 million if you were to go with that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. But that can be adjusted based on what you all want to do. And if you'll go to the next one. We tried to separate, because, you know, this is we had a lot of requests this year, so we tried to put things in mandated, which were our law mandates that we have to do, or, and that's this first group. So what we've done is increase teacher salary schedule by $2,500, and that would be every step in the teacher salary scale. There has been some discussion about the state schedule. Theirs is heavy on the 1st through 5 years as an increase, but much lower for 6 and above years experience and masters plus 30 in doctorates. So this would impact 77% of our teachers, which is the majority. I mean, everybody will get the $2,500, but we have about 77% that are over 5 years on steps. So we have a bigger impact to more of our teachers. We have to give a teacher step, so that's included. The bus driver increase, we've increased it by 3.5%. That's a little higher than the state's max, which I think is 2 3/4. That would take us from a base with 0 experience of $17.30 an hour to $17.91 an hour. And I believe we're in the top 5 districts for bus driver salary in the state. We'd also give the bus drivers a step or year's experience, and that's included there. And then we're going to have a group health insurance rate. We did get some additional information today that I think is going to let us come back to you with a smaller figure. I'm not exactly sure how much smaller at this point, but we will be making that adjustment. But there is going to be an increase because they didn't go up on the employee part this year, just the employers. So we will have to have an increase, but I'm hopeful that we can come down from the 2.9. So that puts us with benefits and salaries at right at 5.6 million. And then we have additional mandated increases. These are the just the operating increases. If our revenues go up, then the charter school allocation goes up. So we've been allowed for that. We're going to have always an increase in contracted services amounts, so we've included $100,000 there. We weren't sure at the time that how much increase in workers' comp and property casualty insurance we'd have. We put $100,000. We may be able to reduce that. We got the quotes today, so once Mr. Walters and I have a chance to look at it, then we can come back with a more accurate figure. We're having to change audit firms this year, so we're going to have a first-year audit. And this may also come down slightly, but I don't think it'll come down a whole lot for an increase in our audit fees. And utility costs, we've gotten with facilities, and they've done some projections based on the peak usage and demand usage and just the cost to operate, and they're looking at a 7.5% increase in our utilities of $165,500. We're going to have to increase the security cost for SROs. These would not be the ones in the grant, but these would be the hourly officers that come in and work the events, as well as the contracted SROs with the city. So we've included an increase there. Special services, the numbers are going to mandate that we have a new pre-K special needs class at Waccamaw Elementary School. So we've allowed for a teacher and one paraprofessional there. Also, special services, because of the numbers being served, we need to take the occupational therapist that has been in ESSER up till this point and move it to local. And we are having a paraprofessional at Andrews Elementary that will move to Sampit to move into a new pre-K class there as well. So all the additional or total mandated increases are at $6.7 million tonight. Any questions so far? Then we went to district practice, and these are the things we've traditionally budgeted, not things that we've just as a rule have included in our budget, but we wanted to make sure they were separate for you all as you consider it. We have an increase in teacher FTEs due to the growth. That's the net between the classes, the schools that have increased students and the schools that have lost students, and teachers have not been through attrition, we won't be filling positions at those schools. So it's a +1 right now. The nurse step would also be if we would give them a step based on the current scale. And there's a farther in, there's a that new nurse scale that we presented to you earlier. If you go with that, then we would not need the step because the step is already built into the new scale. There's a step for administrators and a step increase for all other classified employees. For all schools, and when COVID started and we got our ESSER funds, we were paying $25 an hour for extra teacher time. To get the work, the help that we needed, we went to $35 and paid the $10 for homebound, home-based, and some after school. We paid the $10 out of ESSER. So now we need to pick that up since ESSER is ending to keep the hourly rate at $35 rather than $25. The reading coach at Waccamaw Middle School, that's the only school that doesn't have one funded in a different way. So that one is still there. We have not been able to work out any federal money or using money that we have currently to cover that yet. The Carvers Bay High would get the full-time custodian based on their our formula for that, as well as some changes that were made in their building manager status this year. And we've included the salaries for the Waccamaw High School ROTC program. So the district practice increases are right at $1.5 million.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, does all school have a full-time nurse?
I'll have a full-time nurse, yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Johnson, I have a question.
Yes,
On
sir.
the, I know Waccamaw High School is just starting this ROTC program, the $185,000 for salaries. How's that broken up? How's that broken up into personnel? Is that?
I believe that's the, and I don't know the correct.
There's a salary for
military
2
terms.
employees, a senior instructor and a junior instructor. So all ROTC units have 2 instructors to help build the program as far as capacity and all of the extracurricular. So that's actually 2 salaries.
2 salaries. And that's their only position. They don't teach, they just do ROTC.
Well, they teach JROTC. That is what
That's
they teach. That is correct.
Thank you.
I think it's important to note on that about the ROTC that the other high schools already have that line item already in their line items. I think that's important to note, that those salaries would not be any different for that high school than the other 3 high schools that already have the program.
Yep, that is correct.
Thank you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Johnson, but I believe this was an initial startup amount that after some time, once it becomes a sanctioned unit by the Army, then they will pick up some more of the cost for the salaries for these positions, and that could be reintroduced into the general operating budget for other allocations.
Right.
So this is to help us get started.
And I think they said after several years, I think it's a process. But right now, the other ROTC programs get anywhere from 40 to 50% of those salaries reimbursed to us. Then your board priority, these are the 2 items that you've actually have voted on, the 4 college and career readiness coaches at the high school and the interventionists at the elementary and middle levels, which are 14. And that is $1.4 million. Then, what we did was try to take the department and school request. We tried to prioritize the best that we could to the ones that impacted the most employees or the most students, and those that were the bigger priorities. And these are the ones that are still being presented tonight. We are asking for a 3.5% increase for all of our classified scales. And that would take us from a $14 an hour to $14.49. I know, we're working hard to try to increase that every year, and this would get us to right at $14.50. Then the nurse increase on the new scale would take us from a current Step 1 Bachelor's of Science nurse with of $36,743 current salary, and it would move it to $42 for that same nurse. And that was presented to you by Mr. Jenkins when we did our department budget request. The administrative scale, we're asking for a 2% increase there, and you can see what that costs. We need a special services parapro. We're splitting right now a parapro between being a half-time parapro and a half-time ABA. We need a full-time paraprofessional and a full-time ABA, so that would get that for us. Our ag classes need 20, are asking for 20 additional days for the 2 high schools that have the agricultural program. We're losing our teachers to other districts because we're paying for 2 20 days instead of 2 40 days. Hopefully, there is a chance we may get, if the Senate version does include some money, that may be able to help pay for some of those days. So we'll see how that works out. We did additional instructional coaches days last year for middle school, and the elementary schools are asking for 5 days for their coaches. And then we're increasing the webmaster stipend from $1,000 to $1,500 based on the additional work that's required and time that's required to maintain the school's web pages and teacher web pages, work with the teachers. The high school bookkeeper supplement is for handling additional athletic work. The high schools, it would be 4. The high schools came and said that the bookkeepers are putting in additional time for submitting athletic information now. We would have to increase our temporary rate for those folks that are on timesheets and hourly paid, to increase them to the same hourly rate as the classified scales to $14.49, as well as the Kelly services to $14.49. And Waccamaw Middle School, their strength and conditioning supplement would be for a coach to go to the middle school and work with them, because they're not next door to their high school. It's more difficult for the kids to be able to work out with the coaches since they're not next door to each other like the other schools. So those requests are at $1.2 million. these were the things that were asked for that would be great in a perfect world and if we had unlimited money. Right now, these are the things that are not being requested. So if you need to have any information about any of these, just let us know. We've got the amounts, we've got everything that was submitted and presented. So we wish we could do it all. And then the next slide, these are things that we have been able to find another way to do. They were requested, and we've been able to make these happen by reallocating some positions, using some other funding. The ROTC classroom setup would come from capital, because most of that is going to be classroom equipment, that kind of thing. So we can do that in our capital funds. The special lead nurse and health room assistants, when we did this, we didn't know that the grant was going to be extended for another year, and it has been. So we will be able to use the grant to pay for them for another year. The stipends we've already taken care of. We were able to fund the money in this year's budget. And then we're using ESSER to take care of the next three. Those are one-time purchases that we can finish up. We're finishing up our ESSER, and we can use that money for that. And then we were able to move a teacher from one school to another school for that pre-K class, and we are going to hopefully get enough Medicaid money to pay the RBHS counselors. So that's where we are with those. And then if you go to page 11, this is kind of the bring it all together page. It shows you the additional money that we're thinking we might have, total expenditures before department and school request, and then the adding in the department and school requests, which leaves us $4.7 million short of balancing at this point. To give you some more to chew on, we are our current operating millage is 121.1 mills right now, and we're still working on the projected value of a mill because we feel like there's going to be some growth, and we want to try to make sure we're maximizing what we think that mill will be worth. But right, for planning purposes, we're using 390, and a mill would cost a taxpayer that owns a second home or a business or a rental property an additional $6 for every 100,000 of assessed value. The next page shows you what millage is available, and you can see we would have to do the look back. We can go up 7.1 for this year. This is what we've been given. But out of the 11 that we could have gone up in 24, we used 2, so you would still have 9 available. And in 23, we used 2.9, which would leave you 3.5 available. And that's what, if you used it all, that's what we think it would bring in at this point. And that's where we are tonight. Can I answer any questions, concerns?
How many meals would it take to cover the 4.7?
Let's see, it's 11, Brent gave me that right before we, 12 meals.
12 meals.
12, right.
Any thoughts? Questions?
This is a lot of work.
A lot of work. And this is very difficult decision-making. Because I'm not sure we could go to the public and, what was it? How many meals was it?
12.
12. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And it may not look that bad when we come back. So,
Okay.
I mean, we're not asking you to tell us tonight.
Okay.
You know, if there is anything that you didn't agree with where we had it placed as priority or whatever, then we would need to know that. But if, we'll come back on the 21st and hopefully have much more
Okay.
accurate numbers and some options.
All right, well, thank you.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, I think what would be helpful is for the board to be thinking about the list of items there, the dollar amount that goes along with it. And if we're going to draw a line somewhere, where do we draw that line? I think the board's direction at the next meeting will be very important for us to determine what we bring back to you in the month of June for you to actually take a vote on. So if you would, just spend time looking through that about if you had to draw the line or move things off the list, move things around on the list, what would be priorities that you definitely would like to see continued versus those things that you may not wish to continue at this time because of the millage that would be required to do so. And so it's a lot to digest, but Ms. Johnson and her team's available if there's any questions in the meantime, and we'll bring it back for further presentation at our next meeting where we'll have some updated numbers from the state as well at that time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keith, I have one question. I was focusing on the additional school request, and it looks like a couple of elementary schools, Sampit and Kensington. Sampit has asked for an additional interventionist, and Kensington asked for a math interventionist. Do you know, just focusing on those two schools, what interventionists they have? Do they have a math interventionist at Kensington? Is this in addition, or we don't have a math interventionist?
I'm looking at Mr. Cohens. He may be able to correct me, but they already have one interventionist, and they're asking for an additional one. So if Kensington is asking for a math, that probably means they have a reading interventionist already. And I'm not sure about Sampit. They may be addressing both areas, and additional would, oh, I see Ms. Ward there. Yep. So their current interventionist is addressing both reading and math, and if they get a second one, then they could have one for reading and one for math.
So you have one now for both subjects? Okay. And then Kensington, does Kensington have a math interventionist?
They currently have a reading interventionist, and they're asking for an additional position to have a math interventionist and a reading interventionist.
Okay.
Is that correct, Mr. Cohens?
They all have one interventionist, but those interventionists are supposed to serve dual roles.
Okay, so they're doing both.
Specifically for math and one for reading.
So the one interventionist would be specifically for math, and I'm assuming that the one that is currently in place would focus specifically on reading.
Yeah, I would love if we would just consider those two positions, just keep that open in the air for both those elementary schools.
Anything else? Yes,
We
Ms.
do
Hamlin.
have approximately 500,000, I'm sorry, of the 2 million that we have not specifically designated in our fund balance. Right, Ms. Johnson?
Right, yes, ma'am.
So some of the, as we prioritize and look through this list, there are some things we could dedicate to that.
You could increase that if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend going real high because you're going to have to eventually build it into the budget if you're going to keep the program. But you could probably go up more than 2. And the reason that we went with just a dollar amount rather than earmarking items is just because it's much easier to explain and less stressful for staff.
And they're recurring costs.
They're recurring costs.
So we
yes,
do
ma'am.
have to think about that.
Right.
Even if we put, specifically if we took a line item of raises and put it into, or however it worked out,
right,
into that money, it's going to come back again.
Yes, ma'am. It's going to have to be included at some point.
And can you share with us about how many days the 21 million that we have
Yes,
in
ma'am.
reserve has us?
Of this year's budget, it's 70.8 days, which 60 days is not a bad number to maintain at all. You have to have 30 days to avoid fiscal watch.
Right, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Johnson, but the general rule of thumb is that you want to have 1 month's operating budget to stay off of the fiscal watch list.
Correct.
The recommended amount is 2 months' worth of your operating budget.
That's correct.
And as Ms. Johnson has explained on different occasions that our sources of revenue that come from state and local taxes and federal sources don't come every month. They come at different periods throughout the year. And so by having a healthy reserve fund balance with up to 2 months operating expenses in there, it helps us to be able to pay our bills, to pay our salaries, while we're waiting for these funds to come in 3 or 4 times a year, so that we don't have to go take out a loan from the bank in order to pay our salaries and pay our bills. So having that fund balance there equips us to be able to do that, and that's why the recommended portion is 2 months' worth of your operating budget.
Right. And I see that as being very important. But this fund balance that we're representing with right now doesn't represent what we might have in savings from our current year, right?
We did reallocate some of those savings to do the things that were on that very last screen.
Okay.
So some of it has already been considered and reallocated.
Okay.
But the final budget for this fiscal year, that audit and final results come around October. So we'll know an exact number once we get that final number then, that final audit. Well, not audit, but report.
Report, yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Johnson, you're still up.
Yes.
Proposal for auditing firm.
Yes, sir. We have found an audit firm that we want to bring to you to recommend. I'll come on May 21st and ask you to approve Green Finney Cawley LLP. They are a firm that's been in South Carolina for many years. They are on the state's approved audit list and have been a leader in providing government audit services. They serve many other local school districts, so they're very familiar with our compliance requirements and our reporting requirements. They have agreed to take our district on based on our reputation and our previous auditor's recommendation and our agreement to provide a fully closed-out trial balance and prepare all the schedules that they need. May not be by December 1st. I just want to make sure you all realize that we'll do our best. We'll be ready, but their schedule was set before we ever found out that we needed an auditor. So do you have any questions about that firm? They have 4 offices, one in Charleston, which will probably be our main audit partner.
What'd you say their name is?
Green Finney Cawley, C-A-U-L-E-Y.
Thank you.
And when will they be finished? Before the end of January?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That they will. They have agreed to that. They just can't promise it.
Because we
And
get in
we're gonna have
bigger
it ready,
trouble after
so if
the end
they
of
have a week that they can work on it, we're going to be ready.
Okay, but we get in bigger trouble if they're not by the end of January.
And we've talked that through many times together. So they are aware that we cannot go beyond January 30th.
Okay.
And as soon as possible, December 1st best, but as soon as possible after that.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
I'll bring that back.
Just curious, what other school districts do they audit?
I can bring you the list. I didn't bring it with me tonight. I can get that for
But
you,
it's a
though.
goodly number?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Larger districts, too, and districts our size.
Okay.
Some of the firms just do small districts, small audits, and only do 2 or 3. So it's been difficult to work something out at the last minute.
Yep, understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Giles, addendum to course catalog.
Good evening again, Chairman Gaskins, members of the board, Mr. Price, as well as administration. This evening, I present 2 additional courses. The South Carolina Governor's School for Science and Math offers upper-level STEM courses to students across the state of South Carolina. We have been fortunate to partner with them in which they will add courses to our course catalog that we do not currently offer. This is at no cost. So we went through our course catalog, and there are 2 courses that they offer that we can add. Those 2 courses are linear algebra, which would be an honors weighting at 0.5 units, as well as abstract algebra, again, an honors course is 0.5 units, so we're asking permission to add those 2 courses again at no additional cost, and it is a additional offering for our students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is our presentation on a superintendent search firm. And as you know, one of our most important jobs as a school board is hiring a superintendent. And we take this job very seriously, and we as a board feel that to do this in a very prompt, logical manner, and we have asked the South Carolina School Board Association to give us a presentation about using their search firm. Scott Price, who is their executive director, I want to make note that he is no kin to Keith Price. Just want to make that clear. There's no relationship there. I have done some background checks on your function in doing a search, and I've got some outstanding reviews from you guys. So I'm going to let Scott introduce his team, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good evening.
Judy LeGrand is handing out a copy of our proposal, and I believe there's some copies in the back also, on the table in the back. So, Chair Gaskins and members of the Georgetown County School Board, Mr. Price, I want to thank you for the opportunity to meet with you this evening to discuss your superintendent search and how SCSBA can hopefully assist. My name is Scott Price, and I'm the Executive Director for SCSBA. The primary team for this search is, of course, Judy LeGrand is our search coordinator, and we also have joining us on our team Dr. Darrell Johnson, retired superintendent for Greenwood 50 School District, who's consulting with us on searches and has, I think we were talking earlier, Dr. Johnson's been involved in at least 5 searches with us, so he's a veteran. It is our honor and our pleasure to assist you, the board, in selecting the person who is the best match for your students, for your districts, employees, the community, and for you, the board. The selection of the superintendent to oversee your district is, as you noted yourself, Mr. Chairman, perhaps one of the most important decisions that you can make as a school board. I'd like to give you just a brief overview of the search process. But as we go along, I want you all to always remember that this is your search. We do the work. We advertise and we bring folks in and we schedule things and we do the work, but this is your search, and we're more than happy to tailor it to meet your needs, even if things change as we go along. We all know you've got a copy of a draft schedule in front of you also, and we all know things happen, and so we're very willing and very amenable to adapting as we go along to meet your needs. But you do ultimately control the search process. The timeline, a typical search is about a 3 to 6 month process, and again, we work with you all to reach an agreed upon timeline with the knowledge that things could change to meet your needs. We'll work with you to determine the qualities and the priorities that you'll be looking for in your new superintendent. We also will advertise the position in state as well as nationally and regionally, depending on how wide of a net that you all want to throw. We do actively recruit candidates for the position, and do know that one of the things that we'll talk about over and over and over during this process is confidentiality, making sure, because that helps us to get the best candidates for you all. If we all agree that we're going to keep things confidential in terms of the candidates until we get to the point in the search where we're looking at naming the finalists. At that point, under the Freedom of Information Act, we do provide information to the public on the finalists that you all select. We also are affiliated with the National Affiliation of Superintendent Searchers. It's a national organization. share information and use those as contacts. We also have, obviously, contacts with our counterparts in other states, and again, in terms of recruitment and advertising. For screening processes, we do conduct preliminary interviews and screening of all applicants to assist you in the selection of your semifinalists. That's what Ms. LeGrand does, is she does talk to everybody in an interview who files an application. We do Google searches. We don't do a deep background check, criminal background, finance background, credentials check until we get to the finalist portion of it, but that's when that comes in, and we do that. Interviewing processes will help you set up an interview structure. There's basically 3 stages: the application process, the semifinalist process, and then the finalist process. So we'll help you set up all the interviews for the semifinalist interviews as well as the finalist interviews. And we'll also work with you to help you structure the questions that you'll be asking. We have sample questions that we're glad to provide to you, and you all can make whatever changes that you feel as a board you want to make in terms of questions for the semifinalists as well as the finalist stage. You have a copy of the proposal is basically the contract. Our basic fee for a search is $15,000, which is very competitive. We also do add up to an additional potential amount for an up to additional $7,000 for administrative costs. So you're looking at anywhere from $15,000 to $22,000 for the full cost of the search. We do appreciate the opportunity to work with you all on this, and look forward to being a part of this very important process for you. Judy, have I left anything out? Dr. Johnson, would you like to? Okay. And Mr. Chairman, at that point, if you all have any questions, we'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
I like the numbers a lot better than the first time.
Oh, yeah, I do too. I saw what we paid the last time.
Yeah.
We like the price. And, with this, I'll be working directly with Mr. Johnson.
You'll work probably primarily with Judy. You all will let us know somebody within the district at the administrative level that we work with for scheduling things.
Yep.
But in terms of working through you, Mr. Chairman, with the board,
Okay.
when we need you all to approve questions and things like that,
Right.
we'll bring that to you. And it's most likely going to be Ms. LeGrand.
Right. Because I see we got down there, starting off with focus groups with students and teacher forum, and I'm not sure that could take place on those days, but we need to coordinate that. So I'll work through Judy on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a quick question, Mr. Price. How do you assess the success of your searches?
Basically, we rely on testimonial to a large degree. And I think everybody that we've listed in the searches that we've done 40, how many searches?
40, maybe 48, 49 in 15 years.
And, I think if you look at the majority of the searches that we have conducted, you'll find most folks have at least been there for the full first term of the contract. And many of them are still with the districts where we place them. So I don't have percentages for that for you, but that's, one of the things, it's a couple of things that I look at. And really, by and large, it is going to be how satisfied that board is with the work that we've done and helping them through that process and making sure that they hopefully have gotten the best fit that they can get.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Moving on to our action items, which we should be able to go through very quickly. First action item is our personnel list. The administration recommends approval of the personnel list as presented. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. The 2024-2025 new textbook adoption. The administration recommends approval of the 2024-2025 new textbook adoption as presented. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I've received a number of comments from elementary teachers,
I think we all have.
and I think we ought to take a serious look at what they're saying. And I understand there's been a popular vote, and as some of them said, they're from smaller schools, so they don't carry as much weight as some of the larger schools. But I think, particularly on this literacy curriculum, it's so important. I mean, it is the foundation of kids really able to be successful in life. And if what they're saying is that we've been using that for a number of years now, and they don't think it's been very successful in terms of results. They're also saying they don't align with the new state standards, and particularly this new training that they're going through on phonics and so forth, letters, LATRS. They've tried to contact the publisher and said their website is, very user unfriendly. And I just think it's I would like the board to hear from these teachers and actually what they're saying before we make a decision, particularly on the literacy piece, to move forward with the adoption. Because they do, in the process, recommend other firms with other material that other districts are using that they say is much more effective.
Mr. DuBose, I hear what you're saying, but we heard this from one school and 3 teachers, or is it 2 teachers?
Yep.
From the school. So my experience with a textbook adoption is that, from our board policy, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Giles, I might need your help on this, about the procedure. Was the procedure for the textbook adoption process followed?
Good evening again. Yes, sir, we did follow the procedure as outlined by our policy, in which we solicit input and feedback from not only our teachers, but as well as stakeholders. And in this situation, we do go with a popular vote. I will share that the concerns that were raised were of the 3rd highest vote getter. So we looked at the first that was selected, as well as the second and the third. The concerns that were raised were from the 3rd. We did, however, go back to HMH, the company, and we asked specific questions, in which the first question was, is the text aligned to our state standards? And they confirmed, yes, it is aligned, as well as it is being recommended by additional districts throughout the state. The second question we asked was, is it professional development opportunities for these teachers as well as coaches and administrators to participate in that is aligned to letters training? And they confirmed that as well, and they state that the research led to the development of the pathway that they provide for teachers. Thirdly, they have said that they have packaged this, that it is more robust than what our PLP, and that's our Palmetto Literacy Project schools. It is more robust at this time in this rollout than what our PLP schools experienced during the first rollout over the past year plus. So we do stand by the recommendation, and we feel confident. Our elementary team led by Mr. Coynes as well as Ms. Hepacious did go to visit that school and had a conversation as well as a discussion in how we can support that school with this text moving forward with HMH.
And correct me if I'm wrong, also the state, at the state level, they vet these textbooks as well before they are being able to be on a textbook caravan. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Yeah.
The State Department of Education.
So it's been vetted.
Yes.
So these two teachers are just, they don't know what they're talking about?
I won't say that. I will say that we do value their input. We recognize their input, and we have addressed it to where we feel we can move forward confidently with instructional standards. I will share that the standard is our curriculum. The textbook is a support to the curricular standards. So any resources that our teachers need beyond textbooks, we do try to provide. But at the end of the day, as they unpack their standards, we hope that they will supplement as needed and teach the standard, but not necessarily teach the text. The text is a support.
And Dr. Gauss, I would like to thank you because I reached out to Dr. Gauss because we all have heard from them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I reached out and asked, and she gave me the same information, and she assured me that those addressed our concerns were addressed with the teachers that had the concerns. So thank you for looking into that situation for us.
Thank you.
I
Thank our
just had
team.
one other curious question.
Yes,
So
sir.
when we asked those questions of the publisher, did we just take their word for it, or did we compare what they've got with the state standards and phonics?
We received their textbooks prior to the vote, in which we can review, and members of our team also participate in what's called the caravan, to where they can review the text and hear the sales pitch as well as the information that is provided. So it's not just a popular decision without facts or evidence to support the decision.
Okay. Well, I guess the proof will be in the pudding.
We look forward to increased results. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. Policy BFG, Policy Review and Evaluation. The administration recommends first reading approval of Policy BFG, Policy Review and Evaluation as presented. Before I ask for moving it forward, I have a question for Ms. Thompson. Should the wording say to rescind? Should that motion be to rescind?
Yes, sir. Thank you for catching that. That was my oversight, but it should be to rescind policy BFG entirely, because as we noted, the wording that we have in BFG is duplicated throughout several other policies in the manual. So yes, rescind rather than approve for first reading.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to move that forward?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BHE, board member insurance, as presented. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been second. All in favor? Well, is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BI, School Board Legislative Program, as presented. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
It's been moved. It's been second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. The administration recommends first reading approval of policy BJ, school board membership as presented.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. The administration recommends first reading approval of the annual update to policy JC/JCA and /JECB, school attendance zones, transfers, and withdrawals as presented. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The motion is carried. Each of you have had time to look at the out-of-district transfer request. The administration recommends approval of the Georgetown County residents' request for release from Georgetown County School District for the 2024-2025 school year. Is there a motion to move it forward?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And now, it is time for board and superintendent comments. Board members?
I'd like to say thank you to all the programs that our young people have had as spring comes along. I'd like to say that the Annie production was fantastic. The Beach Singers did an excellent job, as well as I'm sure there are lots and lots of other programs, and it takes such hard work at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
And so I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to the teachers. Thank you to the young people and their parents who bring them back lots of hours, and some of them for year-long programs. So thank you very much. Also want to give a shout out about Beach Singers and Beach Drama and Beach Art. We really have great programs, and I'd love to see our children take really good participation in those programs. So parents, if your child is going to be part of those programs, thank you for bringing them, but they'll certainly get a lot out of them too. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, it is Teacher Appreciation Week. We are so thankful for all of our teachers and all the work that they do for this district and all of our staff members. Even people in the district office, we are very appreciative of all the work that you do.
Even?
Even, yes.
Especially.
Anything else? Mr. Price.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, good evening. Let me begin by congratulating Miss Michelle Marshall, fourth grade teacher from Andrews Elementary, who was named the 2024-2025 GCSD Teacher of the Year at our banquet last week. We are so proud to have Miss Marshall representing us for the upcoming school year. We have several events coming up in the next couple of weeks. The Induction Teacher Celebration and Rookie Teacher of the Year ceremony will be next week on May 14th at 4 o'clock next door at the Beck Gym. The annual C.B. Dotson Award ceremony will be next Thursday, May 16th at 5:30 at Georgetown High School. And our annual Of the Year Awards luncheon will be next Friday, May 17th at 12:30 here at J.B. Beck, where we will name our principal, assistant principal, and support staff member of the year. Our second window for applying to one of our 5 magnet programs is currently open, but will close next Friday, May 17th. And finally, congratulations to the Waccamaw boys soccer team who won the Lower State Championship last night. I believe this is the first Lower State Championship in program history, and we want to wish them well as they compete in the state championships this Friday night in Columbia. And we actually may have 2 Waccamaw soccer programs playing Friday night, as the girls team is currently competing for the Lower State Championships as they look to defend their state title from last year. Good luck to our Warriors. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next, we have an executive session for the purpose of discussion of the possible contract with South Carolina School Board Association for the superintendent search. Also, discussion of a personnel matter regarding potential interim superintendent. We have a student appeals, and also discussion of a confidential personnel matter. Is there a motion that we go into executive session?
So moved.
Second. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are now in executive session. Is there a motion that would come out of executive session?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are out of executive session. Is there any action we need to take with the possible contract with the South Carolina School Board Superintendent search? Give it to Kathy, let her read it. Okay. Oh,
I can't.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll take it.
Kathy can't read it, sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we execute the contract as presented by the South Carolina School Boards Association to engage their services for a superintendent search.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Thank you. Hearing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Is there any action we need to take regarding an interim superintendent to start July 1st?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we name Dr. Bethany Giles as interim superintendent of Georgetown County School District effective July 1st, 2024. Dr. Giles will serve at the pleasure of the board with all powers conferred to a South Carolina superintendent by state law, State Board of Education regulation, and district policy. During that time, Dr. Giles serves as interim superintendent. She will receive a monthly salary supplement of $3,400 and a monthly automobile allowance of $850.
Second.
There has been a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Congratulations. Necessary action for student appeals.
Yes, Chairman. Regarding student S1, I move that we reverse the decision of the hearing officer and permit student S1 to return to their home school.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The motion is carried.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, regarding student S2, I move that we modify the opinion of the hearing officer to require the student to complete the 23-24 school year at Howard and begin the 24-25 school year at their home school on a behavior intervention plan.
Second.
It's been a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The motion is carried.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, regarding student S3, I move that we modify the opinion of the hearing officer to require the student to finish the 23-24 school year at Howard and begin the 24-25 school year at the home school on a behavior plan.
Second.
There's been a second.
Do I need to recuse myself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I need to recuse myself from this decision.
Okay.
Vote.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. There's no other business before us. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.